don't remember the year anymore. I remember the heat on the stone. I remember the way my legs trembled, how the world felt suddenly too big and too close at the same time. But most of all, I remember the stairs. Back then they called it simply the Great House. The scribes would say, Ei Temen Anki, the house of the foundation of heaven and earth. To me, it was the place where the sky touched stone, a mountain built by hands. I was only a child the first time I climbed it. Today, people ask me about gods, omens, rituals. They expect big stories. But all of that began with something very small. A boy, a parent's hand, and a set of stairs that never seemed to end. This is how it felt. The first thing I saw was not the ziggurat. It was my own feet. Dust on my toes. A small cut on my left heel from a broken potsherd. My sandals were too thin. The ground was already hot, and the sun had only just climbed over the roofs. Stay close, my parents said. Their robe brushed my arm as they walked. Only then did I dare to look up. The ziggurat filled the sky, layer on layer, terrace on terrace, each platform rising higher than the last. People looked like insects on those stairs, small and slow, moving in lines. Banners hung from the upper levels, barely stirring in the thin morning breeze. Today, I whispered, we're going up. Today. Yes, they said, you're old enough now. Old enough. My stomach didn't feel old enough. We passed through the crowd at the base. Vendors calling out, donkeys snorting, a child crying over dropped bread. They all blurred into noise. The only clear thing was the staircase ahead of us, worn by thousands of feet, edges softened by time. At the foot of the god stairs, I felt very, very small. I swallowed. If I spoke too loud, would they hear me from up there? The boy's hand was shaking in mine. He thought I didn't notice, but I had held his hand since it was small enough to disappear entirely inside my palm. I knew every tremor, every little squeeze. It's only stone, I told him, though I knew it was not only stone. One step at a time. Do you remember your letters? He nodded, eyes still fixed on the height. Then remember this too. These steps are like writing, one sign after another. You do not reach the end by staring at the top. You reach it by pressing each mark into the clay. He said nothing, but his fingers tightened around mine. Around us, the air smelled of dust, sweat, and date syrup from the vendors' jars. Above us, incense smoke drifted like thin clouds from the unseen altar. The god waited halfway up the first flight, spear grounded, expression carved in the same stone as the stairs. I felt my own heart beat a little faster. Every time I brought a novice, I wondered the same thing. Is this the day someone stumbles? Is this the day someone proves unready? I squeezed Amar's hand gently. Breathe, I whispered. The gods do not hate fear. They only hate lies. I had been washing those steps since before his parents were born. Dust never stops, sand never sleeps. If the gods wanted a clean staircase, they should have made a world without wind. I saw them before they saw me, the scribe and the boy. He had that look, wide eyes, tight mouth. Children always look the same the first time, like someone picked them up from the ground and put them at the edge of the sky. I wrung out my cloth, brown water dripping down onto a lower step, and straightened slowly. My knees complained as usual. When they reached me, the boy tried to walk around the wet patch, as if even a stain might offend the gods. "You can step on it," I told him. My voice came out rough. "The stone will survive." He froze, looked at me, then at my bucket, then at the vast height above. "I don't want to do it wrong," he whispered. I leaned on my cleaning staff and studied him. A thin clay amulet hung at his neck, a simple sun disk pressed into it, fingers clenched around his parents' robe. "Listen," I said, softer now. "These stones remember every footstep, but they don't remember who slipped. They remember who came back." His eyes widened a little. "Take your fear with you," I said. "Just don't leave your courage down here." His parent gave me a small nod of thanks. They moved on. The boy glanced back once as they climbed, and I gave him a crooked half-smile. Then I went back to scrubbing dust from a world that would never stay clean. People think the danger is at the top. They're wrong. The danger is in the first 30 steps, when the crowd is still thick and people still think this is just another staircase. I watched the pair approach, robed scribe, thin boy. The boy's gaze flicked to my spear, then up toward the higher terraces. "Name," I said. The scribe gave it, along with the appropriate titles and the small clay token of the authorization. I checked the mark by habit, even though I recognized them. "And the child?" I asked. "He's with me, first ascent." I studied him. The boy tried hard to hold my gaze. That was good. His knees looked weak. That was also good. The ones who weren't afraid made me nervous. "Keep to the right," I said. "Don't run. If you feel dizzy, stop and breathe." He nodded too many times. As they walked past, I lowered my voice so only he could hear. "Don't look down," I said. "But don't forget what's down there." He blinked, confused. "Good. Let him think about it. Let him learn that the height means nothing without the ground it rises from." I watched them climb until there were only 2 more moving shapes in the endless procession of believers and functionaries. Then I turned back to the bottom of the stairs, where the next set of trembling legs was already waiting. The higher we went, the less I could hear the city. At first there were still sounds, a cartwheel, a donkey braying, someone laughing, a baby crying. But with each platform, each turn of the staircase, the noise faded behind us like someone was slowly closing a door. My breath grew loud inside my head. The sun pressed against the back of my neck. Sweat trickled down my spine. My legs burned, but I didn't dare complain. These were God steps. You weren't supposed to whine on God steps. We passed carved lions on the walls, their eyes seeming to follow me. Stars, bulls, twisting patterns I didn't yet know the names of. "Why are there animals here?" I finally whispered. "So you remember," my parents said, not even out of breath. "The gods watch over more than just us." A gust of wind hit us as we turned a corner. For a moment I wobbled. My stomach flipped when I saw, just for a second, how far the ground had fallen away. People below were dots, roofs were squares. The canals were thin lines of silver. I clamped my eyes shut and focused on the next step. One more. One more. One more. At some point I realized the air smelled different. Less dust, more something else. Smoke. Oil. Sweetness. "We're close," my parent murmured. My heart banged against my ribs like it wanted to escape my chest and reach the top before me. There is a moment just before they enter, when the temple breathes, smoke curls in the air, oil lamps flicker. The gold of the niche catches the first direct line of the sun, and the statue's eyes seem to wake. On days like that, I wait with my hands folded, listening to the echoes of sandals in the corridor. The door curtain stirred. A scribe entered first, bowing, lips moving with the proper greeting. Behind them, a smaller shadow hesitated at the threshold. I heard his breath. Children always breathe faster here. "Come," I said, not unkindly. He stepped into the chamber, eyes wide, taking in the low altar, the burnished bronze bowls of incense, the great disk and wings of the god symbol above us. Light from the narrow opening in the ceiling fell like a single solid beam onto the center of the room. The boy's gaze followed it, climbing upper until it reached the symbol. He swallowed. "First ascent," the scribe said. "My child." I nodded. "A soul should meet the holy while it still remembers how to wonder," I said. "Kneel." He knelt awkwardly, unsure where to put his hands. I had seen warriors tremble less in the face of death. "What do you see, child?" I asked. He stared at the golden niche. I see light," he said finally. "And eyes, even though there are no eyes." A small smile tugged at my mouth. "Good," I said. "You see more than most grown men." I stepped closer, raising my hands over his head. "The gods do not need you to be unafraid," I told him softly. "They need you to be honest, to walk the stairs with the heart you truly have, not the one you pretend to have." His shoulders loosened just a little. I murmured the blessing, old words whose meanings were partly lost, even to us who said them. At the end, I added one line that was not in any tablet. "May you remember that what is above watches over what is below, and that what is below gives meaning to what is above." The scribe glanced at me, surprised. I ignored it. The boy would not understand that sentence today. That was fine. Some seeds take years to sprout. We stayed at the top only a short time. At least, that's how I remember it. Rituals were performed, offerings placed, words recited in voices that seemed too big for that small stone room. I remember the smell of hot oil and incense, the way the light beam slowly shifted as the sun climbed higher. When we finally stepped back out onto the terrace, the world had changed. No, I had changed. The city lay below us like a pattern on a tablet. Streets, canals, houses, fields, all marks in clay, pressed by thousands of hands. From up there, it seemed almost simple. On the way down, my legs shook for a different reason. I held the railing once and dared to look over the edge. I saw the market, the temple courtyards, a woman washing clothes, children chasing each other around a well. They looked small, but not unimportant. I understood dimly what the priestess meant. The gods may live in the height, but their stories are written in the dust below. I was only a child the first time I climbed the god's stairs. By the time I reached the ground again, the world was still the same. I was not.